Welcome to Seventh Radio. We are back with little Dave post Easter, and him and I both followed the plan, which worked.
Yeah,
But we didn't need off plan for Easter, so it's one of those things. Like we're both in prep, and that means you follow the plan. And if your family wants to eat a meal or have a gathering of some sort, we bring our food. And I literally ate egg whites and Ezekiel bread with almond butter on it while my family had burgers and hot dogs on the grill. So yeah, that's what was
super
your
similar here.
yeah. And then Daxon did an Easter egg hunt and there was candy all over our backyard. So
Yeah,
um again, that doesn't say that we're more hardcore than anyone. That's just where our plan are at this time of the year. And I've always felt like if you aren't peeled, what is the point of a cheat meal in a contest setting? Um,
hmm
I learned that from, Matt Porter. I learned that from John, learned it from Shelby. All three of those men believed in that, and that's what I believe in too, right? Like you don't get the true benefits of a free meal if you weren't in shape. And I know a lot of times like John would post about like Sunday donuts with his boys and things like that. But fun fact, he was leaner in the off season than most people are on stage, so he played by different rules. When he coached me, uh, I had no cheat meals. My cheat meal came after the show. So,
yeah,
and then guess what? A lot of his good pros will mirror that sentiment. Like, go ask Ken Jackson, Josh Wade, Clarita, ask them how many free meals they had lead into a show. Okay. Yeah. Just want to put that out there. So, again, whatever your plan and coach says and has you do, if he has you eating a free meal a week, by all means, have at it, hammer it. But then just know that either your next meal needs, no matter what it is, if it's you go to sleep and then eat, your next meal needs to be clean. One free meal doesn't bleed into two or three or a whole week or weekend. So
mhm.
that's where most people run into problems with cheat meals, which is why I don't like them in a contest prep setting, because to me it's like you just tease yourself. Let's say you eat 41 perfect meals and you have the 42nd is garbage. It's way harder to get back on plan, at least for me psychologically. Like you wake up that next morning and you're just like, oh, it'd really be cool to go like take Angela to IHOP, or you know man, those brownies that are left over from last night would sure go down well right now.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way? Like when you
Oh
have,
yeah,
because it makes you
yeah,
kind of just want it again, right?
yeah. It just needs to get cut down because I mean, like, especially like post show, dude. Like, you have a meal off, your family is feel great, but the next morning when you start adding in, snacks, you eat meal one, it's perfect, and then you have a Reese's, and then you eat meal two, and it's perfect, and then you have a donut, and it's like, why are you just doing this? Like,
Yeah.
like either do something correct or don't do it at all.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. And that balance is really hard to find. Like I've been guilty of it. I've had God knows how many clients. I've had guys and girls like go months of just not being able to get their nutrition back in order because of post-show binge eating. And then it's like this negative feedback loop of, well, I need to starve to get this water off. Because listen, we both know you aren't gaining fat in a day, but you will look noticeably different. Um,
Mhm.
and then well, the problem is then it's like you starve yourself, and then guess what that makes you? Super hungry. So then you're like, oh, well, I don't have a show in 12 weeks, 18 weeks. It's not going to be bad if I have a pizza with my wife while we watch Netflix. Okay, cool. Well, then pizza leads to two tubs of Ben and Jerry's afterwards because you have to have something sweet to wash it down, right? Like you can't just go savory and then go to sleep. And the next thing you know, you wake up the next morning, you're like, fuck, I'm up 8.5 pounds. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
and then you're like, protein veggies only, and then you make that for 4 meals, and you just go all out, and it's
right.
Five Guys and ice cream again.
Correct. Yeah. And then everyone, I think, eventually just throws their hands up and goes, fuck it. I need to get this all out of my system. I'm just going to eat horrible all weekend. And then it's like, then you run into digestion issues. And it's like, huh, eating six times is feels weird when I'm having 8 ounces of protein per meal. And all you can think about is eating carbs and saturated fats. So, word to the wise, like, just, I just really believe in my heart that it, if you get into that cycle, you have to be careful. You're going to run into an eating disorder. And that's where, that's where most retired competitors feel really negative about this sport of bodybuilding. It's because they couldn't manage their hand to mouth and then they want to blame bodybuilding. And
Yeah,
listen, man, like you have to understand and take accountability with everything we do in this life. there will be periods of time of when you get in shape, your calories will be low. At the end of this, for 99% of people, that's what's just going to happen. You will have some period of low. It may not last a long time, and for others, it may last a really long time, but only you make yourself binge eat,
Hmm.
right? Like in looking in that mirror and being like, knowing a difference between, oh my God, I'm starving is a big difference between, oh my God, I want food.
Hmm.
And I realize some people can't delineate between those two because post show, your body and brain says, I need and want it all. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? If you eat, if you've been sustaining off of 8 ounces of meat, 150 grams of rice, and 50 grams of vegetables, you don't need three double cheeseburgers and two McFlurries.
Yeah.
So, fun fact there. I guess we'll go one rant right into the next, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No joke.
Um, so the topic for today, and when Dave and I were talking about it yesterday, I said, man, like I don't understand. There's this resurgence of people on the internet preaching that our bodies are these like little delicate flowers. And you and I come from a generation where the goal was to beat the dog shit out of your body and make it respond. And that if we weren't working hard enough, we were leaving things on the table in terms of growth and progress.
Yeah.
And I it really frustrates me because I think the answer is probably somewhere a little closer to the middle, but still skewed to what we believe. And and I'm gonna tell you guys why. Like the same people that talk about, reps in reserve, overtraining, all of that stuff, they are very quick to point out that they aren't on drugs for the most part and they don't have good genetics. Okay, awesome. But you're suggesting the training for the genetic elite, right? Like the guys who look at weights and grow can go in the gym, do 3 sets of curls with the 30-pound dumbbells, and their arms are going to get 21 inches. Guess what? That is not me and you, and that probably isn't you out there watching. So, why in the world would you take that advice for someone who doesn't have the muscle or the clients to back up what they're saying is true? And the bad thing is they speak very fact-based. Like it's very like, I'm right, you're wrong, here's why you aren't growing. And to me, I guess I've just been in a gym for so long that I've realized the biggest guys in the room, and girls as well, are the ones who are doing sets that look miserable. They're in there doing things with training and with their diet and with intra-workout nutrition that I don't see the ones who are preaching all this stuff are actually doing, right? Like, what are your thoughts on that, Dave? Like when you see that stuff on the internet, 'cause I know like you and I share it between the two of us, like what kind of emotion or what is your thought process when you see that?
Oh man, I feel bad for the people who are listening to them because I mean, bodybuilding is not that complicated, and we love freaking out and making it such a hard. Like in reality, if anybody's not teaching you that intensity is probably the most important thing to grow, like stop following them or listening to them
Agreed.
because the most important thing to grow is not going to be the angle of how the angle of your pinky finger in relation to the orbit of the moon. It doesn't fucking matter, right? What matters is getting stronger in all rep ranges, eating what you're supposed to in a
Yeah.
surplus,
Yeah.
and doing it consistently for a long time. Like when I look back to it, like when I first got into bodybuilding, I was 17.
Yep.
I legitimately knew two things. I need to eat a lot of food,
Yep.
and I need to train really fucking hard.
Agreed.
And I ran with that for a while,
Yes.
and like I learned a lot of things in like a couple years of doing that. And I think the funny thing is, like, I don't have great genetics. I graduated high school at 110 pounds. When I was 19, I weighed 170.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
ate a lot of food and I trained really fucking hard. Was it a great 170? Was I peeled? No.
Right.
And I had to cut back down to get off body fat, but like I put on that's a fuck ton of weight to put on with
Yep.
muscle.
Agreed.
Like, and yes, you know what I came out of that process knowing those two things, I came out of it with more muscle.
Yes.
I not once did I think, oh, I need to not train hard. I need to not eat this food
Yep.
because I also knew that I was skinny and I was small.
Correct.
Right? It made zero sense to not eat. It made zero sense to not train hard.
Right. Yes. Yep. I was in the same boat as you were. And the two tenets that you lived by, so did I. Like that's all my whole existence at that point in my life at 19 consisted of me thinking about ways to get more food in through the course of the day, and then ways I could add weight or volume to my training sessions. That's literally all I thought about in terms of bodybuilding. There was nothing else that stole my attention other than maybe what supplements I was going to add to my program. And
Yeah.
fun fact, I didn't have a ton of disposable income. So it wasn't like I was going to bodybuilding.com and ordering $300 worth of supplements and just throw them all down my throat. Like I had to be selective until I was fortunate enough to be a product tester for them and they shipped me tons of shit. Like, so to me, it was literally that simple. And because I think there wasn't information overload for us at that time, that's all you focus on. And I just looked at the guys that were bigger than me and I observed what they were doing. And I noticed they always had coolers with them. So that meant, okay, cool. Like they have their meals with them. Awesome. And then they're just trying to pack plates on the bar and they're trying to get to the last set of dumbbells. Okay, cool. I need to do that. Like,
Mhm.
how can I make that happen? And like the funny thing is like there wasn't even a thought of like injury, overtraining. Like we were training 6 days a week, and honestly, a lot of times on that seventh day, we'd be like, "Hey, do you want to go do abs and calves and then go lay at the pool? Maybe we can do some cardio on the elliptical." Like,
Mhm. We were for I mean, I was always trying to find more ways to go to the gym.
yes. And
You
listen,
know,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, when I was still in high school, like I would go to early morning lifting for
Mhm.
wrestling,
Yep.
and then they also had lifting at the end of the day for like the football team.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would join those guys. I wasn't even on the football team. I would go join those guys. I'd be like, oh, cool, I can lift twice.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's really funny how similar you and I are. Like, so we would do football lifting in the morning at 7 a.m. On this in the summer. So we go 7 a.m. lift. By 8:15, we had to be down on the track with our workouts completed to do our conditioning. So then me and one of my buddies, I discovered Flex magazine and I saw like a workout that he laid out in there, perfect, right? Like big chest, big back, monster arms. So I looked at Matt and I was like, hey, after we condition, like let's go slam a protein shake and then go train again. And he's like, hell yeah, I'm down. What do you want to do? I was like, let's just do these workouts. So then I'd buy the Flex magazine, my parents would buy it for me. We would do our football lifting, conditioning, drink a shake, chill for a bit, get rehydrated, and then we would literally go back in the gym and like train chest. And it was like Marcus Rule's chest workout, where it was like 5 sets of dumbbells, 5 sets of barbell, like it. And then guess what? Then we get in the fucking car and go home and eat. Like, is that probably overtraining? Maybe, but I was 17, man. Like my body was bulletproof.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
It didn't break. Like, and sadly, I believe these young guys are taking in all this content that makes them feel like they're just so fragile. And
Yeah.
that's not the case. They're scared to fucking everyone's scared to pick up barbells and dumbbells now because it's not perfect strength curves. It's not aligning you exactly right. And listen, even I'm guilty of posting some of that clickbait shit on the internet. So hear me when I say that. But I always caveat that with if you don't have a base level of strength, you have no business doing this specialty lat pull down, right? Like if you can't do 10 pull-ups, bro, like there's no single arm underhanded grip with a band that you need to do on any pull down. Like I need you just to go get stronger. Like, and I think a lot of times when people hear me lay out strength numbers, like a guy confronted me one time and he's like, Chris, like 315 on the incline is not normal. And I'm like, it's normal for the gyms I hung out in.
Neither. That's my favorite part about this, right? Not normal is what bodybuilding is. I wish I could write that on down on paper and just give it to everybody.
Right.
Like, if you want to be something other than normal,
Yep.
you have to do things that are not normal,
Yes.
right? It's not normal to eat 6 meals a day.
No.
It's not normal to eat, 3 pounds of cooked protein a day.
Right. Yep.
It's not normal to train really fucking hard
Yep. Yep.
and sleep and recover from it.
Yep. Like,
What is normal is, going to the gym, hanging out, talking to your friends,
yes.
getting a pump, and never even like recreational weightlifting is the most comical thing on the planet because like there's no anything to it. Like it's literally like, oh, I went to the gym, I benched 2 plates, I did a lat pull down, and I ran for a mile and a half. It's
Yes.
like just
Yep.
pull that out of a hat.
Right.
Like
Yep. Let me ask you this. How many years after working with me did it take you to hit 315 for reps on incline? Do you remember? Or like a rough estimate?
probably 5.
Okay. It's exactly what I told him. 5 years. Sadly, most I don't think are willing to give it that time, you know, of, starting at say 185, building to 225. I always look at like plate quarter jumps is significant, progress. It's really interesting to me that 5 years sounds like a long time for some people, but to me in the bodybuilding world, like 5 years is just like, okay, cool. We're developing what I would consider a base level of strength. You know,
Mhm.
rowing the 150s. I know a lot of people like may view that as ridiculous. I'm like, I can't think of a bodybuilder over 200 pounds that I'm friends with that train hard that can't do that for reps. Like, that's just to me, that's what's normal to me. Like benching 225 when I was in high school, like flat benching for reps, like that was normal in our high school football weight room. Like we did competitions every max day of okay, everybody do their max, and then we put 225 on the bar and we do it for reps to simulate that the NFL combine. Like that was a normal occurrence. I didn't. So it's always funny when I pull up Instagram now and like people are like bragging about 225 on flat bench. I'm like, when did that become a feat of strength? Like, like I don't understand. That just like normal fucking puberty lifting, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
again, maybe I know some people are going to hear me say this and like, oh, Chris, like you don't understand or whatever. I'm like, bro, I will never be impressed by 225 on a flat bench. Not by anyone. Maybe females, yes. Females, yes. Sorry, let me take that back.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah, for sure.
adult males, no.
It's like one of those things. It's just like, I mean, math wise, like if you're 200 pounds, like a 225 bench press is like doing a push up.
Yes, right.
I've never seen someone doing a push up as impressive.
One arm, maybe.
You know, like you take it back to things like that, and you're like, oh, that's why these guys are bigger than me. It back to what I said before. I mean, to be a freak, you got to do things what a freak does.
Yes.
I mean, go take a gander at. I think that's always the funny thing too, or people just take a gander at like how Nick Walker trains right now.
Yep.
Like a lot of his leg days are slow, controlled, really, really tempo based.
Yes. Yep.
Like go take a gander like 4 years ago when he was hack squatting 10 plates aside.
Correct. Yes.
You know,
Yep.
and
Okay.
realize he didn't just randomly start. He didn't start there.
No. No.
So he built up to that, and now once he has the muscle,
Mm.
he already has said muscle.
Yeah.
He's refining it.
Yes. Yep.
He's not building muscle anymore.
No.
And
No.
everybody's like, "Oh, this is what I need to do to build muscle." It's like, no,
Yeah.
he's not building muscle anymore. He's he's done. Take a gander at what he did to go from an NPC athlete to an Olympian. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. Yes. I, I really like using Nick. He's a perfect example, right? Because I think a lot of times people live in like this like vacuum of like only right now. And I'm like, I remember the videos of him pressing the 190-pound dumbbells on incline with Jensen like 3 weeks out from North Americans. Like, where are those videos where he's just ripping fucking weight? Like, no one remembers him barbell rowing 4 plates or shoulder pressing 4 plates in a Smith machine. Like, I don't have a short-term memory. I knew what he had to do to go from not winning pro qualifiers to doing pro shows to winning the Arnold and then to now. Like, and I think people, as you said, forget the segments there that it takes to be an absolute freak, and he is. Like he's the prime example of a freak, right? Um,
Yeah.
I think also you touched on it with the food. I know we're hammering this from a training perspective, um, but I think food is also the same thing. You know, you hear all this stuff about like, and listen, I'm the first one to say, hey, mind your digestion, be intelligent with your digestion. If it's fucked up, fix it. But there also has to be a period of your young bodybuilding career where your digestion can be a little bit skewed because you're eating so much food. Like, fun fact, if you're eating 6 or 7 meals, your stomach's going to feel a little blown out and bloated by the end of the night. It just is. Um, you know, and I think a lot of times people are really scared to take that mentality of, you got to get big, you got to eat big. And I know eating big to some is very different than like what maybe you and I would consider that. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
seafood diet and you just fucking shovel in garbage. But if you, I'll just take these easy macros for you. If you did 50 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat for your 6 meals, I promise that for a month will work better than some like main gain diet. Um, and I know that's tough to believe, right? Like 600 grams of carbs, 300 grams of protein, 60 grams of fat. Like that's a lot. If it's all coming from clean sources, most people will grow off of that. Um,
Yeah.
is
That's
really,
always my favorite thing. Whenever someone comes to me, they're like, "Man, I just can't grow." Be like, "What are you eating?" And that's, "Oh, these are my macros. I'm eating 180 grams of protein, 300 grams of carbs, and 125 grams of fat." And it was like,
yeah,
cool. You're eating like everybody else and expecting to look like not like everybody else.
yep, yes, yep,
Weird.
yeah. And it goes back to that. It's this new school mentality, right, of doing everything that's easier. Listen, it's a lot easier for us to eat 5 and 6 ounces of cooked protein as opposed to 8 or 9. Like, it, I get that carbs can be protein sparing. I get it. I'm hearing you, but I'm telling you right now, if you can't gain muscle and you're eating under 200 grams of protein a day from protein sources, by the way, not cumulative, that would be the first thing I would address right out the gate. And I wouldn't even factor in carbs or fat at that point. Like I would just simply take your protein and increase it by 100. Take it to 300 and see what happens. That's 50 grams for 6 meals. So for everyone out there doing math, that's 2 scoops of protein shakes, that's 2 cups of egg whites, and 7 ounces of cooked meat. Do that 6 times and do it for 2 months and tell me what you look like and what the scale says and what your strength does. Um, I guarantee it does this.
Yeah.
And that's leaving carbs and protein and fat alone. Because I think so many people hear like, oh, I don't want to increase my calories. Like I'm going to get fat. I have never taken someone's protein north and they've gotten fat. None, zero. And I've worked with some people with shitty metabolisms. So keep everything the same and just take your protein to 300. Or if you're at 300, take it to 350 or 360 or 400. See what happens. I guarantee the scale's going to go up, your strength's going to go up, you're going to look harder, and you will not be fatter. You gain muscle from eating muscle. I've always thought about it that way.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's that I know can be very challenging. And listen, I know I've gotten you to points in the all season where you're like, man, like I can't wait to get this fat off.
Yeah.
We've all been there, trust me. But if you want what I would consider a base level of muscle where when you can walk around in public and people think, oh, he plays football, he's a wrestler, or he is a bodybuilder, that's a good thing. That's what we want. And that's not in a
Yeah.
tank top and that's not peeled. That is year round in a fucking hoodie. Oh man,
Yeah.
he's different.
Yeah. People, I mean, you can't hide muscle. You can't hide big.
No.
You don't need to buy the fancy clothing. Like a regular ass t-shirt and sweats, you can see what you have muscle. I mean, fun fact, like most sweats look like joggers on me.
Yes. Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, figure that one out.
They gather at the crotch and they rip
Yeah.
look the seam. Yeah. It kind of goes back to I think it's just a really interesting mindset, right? And I try to think about the questions that I get. You know that Pritchett row that I've been doing with that chest support off the power rack?
Hmm.
I've been rowing the hundreds on that for sets of 10 to 15. And somebody said that looks like a really inefficient setup. how do you get those into place? And I said, fucking strap in on the rack, carry him over, step over, and row. And he's like, isn't that really hard? And I was like, bro, I've lunged with hundreds in my hands. This is fucking cake. Like, get out of your fucking head. Like,
Funny. Yeah, it's funny. It's one of those things. It's like it's part of the process.
listen, we set back with 150. You've way more than me. I've set back with 160-pound dumbbells on an incline bench and kicked them fuckers up.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, I
way
don't need someone
harder.
to hand them to me.
Right, right. That is way harder than a farmer carry, one step, and then row. Like, I don't know. It just goes back to, I guess when I was doing it, I just never thought twice. Like, well, the 90s were easy. Fuck it. Let's grab the hundreds. Strap in, walk over, row it. Awesome. Done. And I don't know. Sometimes I'm just lost for words when it comes to things like that, where it's like, our bodies are stronger and a lot more resilient to pain and to progress than we want to be, right? Like, and you made a
Yep.
good comment. You said, you know, guys now are almost scared to get sore. And I'll let you expand on that. Like, how do you view soreness in terms of progress?
I'm always, that's always, well, I don't think I have had non-sore legs outside of the week of a contest
Yeah.
for the 8 years we've worked together.
Oh, yes. Right.
That like that one always blows my mind when people are like, "Oh, like yes, soreness is not going to mean you had a great workout. Like you can go do wall sits for an hour, you'll be sore from that. I mean, you can get sore from gardening,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you're also going to get sore from forcing change,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And like it's probably pretty easy to quantify like if you're not like if you don't feel your muscles working, you're not sore from something,
Yep.
like you're probably not progressing.
Agreed. Yep. Yep. I shared this. This is what I said to you yesterday. I said, when I was young, I was terrified if I didn't get sore the next day. My instant thoughts were, I didn't work hard enough. I did too little, and maybe I left reps in the tank.
Yeah.
That was my legit thought process.
Yeah.
So I'm like, every other body part I train, I get sore as hell. The next day, I'm sore for 48, 72 hours, sometimes for legs, 6 full days.
Mhm.
What's wrong with me? I mean, I remember we'd go in there and we'd rip deadlifts until we couldn't see straight. And the next day you'd wake up and like traps, mid back, erectors, glutes, hamstrings, all fucked for 3 days. And I'd always wonder, like, man, this better hurry up and recover. I got legs in a day.
Mhm.
And now the thought process is, oh man, you don't want to get too sore. You don't want to get sore. And listen, I understand that at this point of my bodybuilding, soreness isn't always a true indication of progress or a good lifting session, but it also lets me know like I did something my body wasn't used to.
Yeah.
Then if I look at say the logbook or like what I did, it's like, okay, cool. Like you got one more plate and 3 more reps than you got last week on the leg press, and my quads are sore. Yeah, I did something right. Like it's such a interesting dilemma because we also use intra-workout nutrition now, which I didn't do a lot of early on. So we're able to mitigate some soreness. And then also my nutrition is a lot better. My rest and recovery is a lot better. And I'm still getting sore weekly. So I think anyone out there listening with soreness, I mean, honestly, as you said, you could do wall sits, you could do yard work. Shit, I was sore after my brother and I did a deck for a whole weekend. Like that doesn't mean I'm gaining muscle, but if I did the exact same workout that I did last week in terms of structure, intensity, but I increase reps or weight and I'm sore, that's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just like one thing, it's a combination of a bunch,
Yes.
and that's the trying to outsmart, just picking things up and putting them down. It's
Yeah.
got to be like, I honestly don't really care, like, if people want to train a certain way. Like, your progress or lack of progress is not going to affect me in any way, shape, or form. But, like, at what point does, like, going into the gym and purposely leaving reps on the table cross your mind what that's going to bring the most progress?
Correct. Yeah.
Like, imagine going, to school and knowing, like, okay, cool, I'm taking a test, you know, like, was your goal like, yes, you want to pass? There's definitely those classes where you just like, all right, cool, we just need to, get a C at least. That's the thought process. But like your effort, did you ever go into that and be like, you know what, I honestly only need to give 90% today. That's going to make me better. That's, like, you go to work, you're like, I'm going to half-ass this today. It's going to be better than 50. It's not going to be 100.
Yeah.
And then wonder at the end of the year why like your boss doesn't like you,
Right. Yes.
you know? Or like it's do you go in and be like, all right, cool, I'm going to bust my ass today. I'm going to give it everything I can because I know it's going to build a better tomorrow.
Yes. Right.
And then when you think about that for the gym, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to go in and do everything I can today, the best I can.
Yes.
I've got 10 sets for chest.
Yep.
Are all of them going to be 100%? I'm going to make damn sure they are. I can't imagine a world where like, okay, cool, got to hold back on those reps. I got to make sure I don't hit failure here because I'm going to do too much.
Yeah. Right. Yes. And I think here's the difference, right? Because I'm mirror what you said. I don't give an absolute shit what someone does in the gym, right? You take your fitness, your workouts, your strength, progression, whatever, you do whatever you like. My problem exists is when you're posting on the internet to teach people, hey, this
Yeah.
is what you need to do. And that's a huge difference, right? I think that's why I never have an issue with Sam Sulek. Sam isn't saying he's a coach, a teacher, nothing. He's like, hey, this is what I do. I love it. I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Difference between him and these other influencers are like, you want a bigger set of legs? Do this. And I'm like, hold on, you don't have legs. How do you know how to get big legs? Well, I've read 16 studies and I have a doctorate in exercise physiology. Okay, awesome. You have all the intelligence. Why haven't you put it into practice for yourself? Because I have bad genetics and I don't take the drugs like you do, Chris. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, here my legs were when they were natural and they were triple your size. What's your excuse now? Oh, well, you
Yeah.
have more genetics than me. Oh, yeah, my mom was 98 pounds her whole life, and my dad's 135 at my height at 5'10. My genetics are great.
Yeah. Or my rear delts won't grow because I've been doing this, sets of 3 for shoulders ever, you know.
Right.
You ever try different rep range? I mean, you already rewrite training every fucking 6 months for what's the best practice. I'm not personally calling out Paul Carter, but whatever.
Blocked.
Yeah.
So I always laugh at that shit, man. Like, you know, to say or to even remotely think that I have good genetics when you can add my parents' body weights together and I still weigh more than both of them now, um, is laughable. And they don't want to realize, like, oh, wait, you just banged your head against the wall for 2 decades of finding more ways to eat more food and finding ways to get more torturous of your body in the gym to force it to adapt. I'm like, yeah, damn right. And you know why? Because I understand the simple principle of evolution. And I will always think about being taught in high school about that woodpecker just hammering the tree and the beak getting harder and stronger and longer. Okay, awesome. That's what I have to do to my body. I'm not meant to be this way, but I'm going to force it to happen because you don't give it an option.
Yeah.
Load more weight on the bar and I eat more food than I did a month ago, my body has to do something. It has to change. It's not going to get change through coasting or on cruise control because that's how I view most of those training sessions that people do. It's cruise control. No sweat, no straining, no white knuckles, no red face, no
Yeah.
anger, no
Yeah.
aggression.
You can legitimately, if I ever stop a set when we're training together and I'm like, well, that's enough work for today, please just smack the shit out of me.
Yes.
Oh, I finished that bench press. That wasn't a struggle. Good enough for today.
We're
Just
good.
beat the shit out of me.
I'll tell everyone a fun fact. I used to, when Alex and I used to train legs together, and I'd have like a goal for a leg press on a hack squat. I always have a goal of like, okay, I want to do this many reps without fucking stopping. So constant tension. And I'd always tell them, if I stop, you put a fucking plate on. Don't ask if I stop that weight short of 20 or 30 or 10, whatever my number was that day. I want you to put a plate on there and not let me out of the sled. Positive pressure. And listen, he had a plate in hand ready to where if I fucking stopped, plate on, time to go, bitch. You want to fuck around? All right, cool. Like you have to play those games with yourself, mental, or at least I do. That's what I have to take myself to. I would envision John and Dave Tate over my shoulder and be like, what would they say of that set if they were here with me? Like it's little things like that that I would have to play games in my mind to enforce that was what it's going to take for me to grow. And I know you were the same way.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. It's not pretty. It's not fun. If someone watched, they'd probably the people have asked, why in the world are you doing that? Because that's training, man. That shows you that question alone, when people call you and I insane with the way that we train, to me, that's the whole problem.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
if what
I haven't done
really,
anything special. I'm just doing what's needed to grow.
and I think if people reframe this in their brain, what if we're just doing what's adequate to grow and what everyone else is doing is below average? That's a D or F effort. And I know that might be harsh, but it's the fucking truth. It goes back to, I don't know, I've sent you this. Evan Sinapani's sitting with a young kid and he's asking him about beast mode. And he's like, beast mode is just doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, 100%.
And that shows you how weak our society is now as a whole, right? Like, oh, what you're doing is extreme. No, what I'm doing is just what is required to get what I want. Okay. And then uh, if anyone's ever heard you or I say, oh, it's just a normal Thursday, it's because it is. When you and I get together, we don't train any harder or any easier other than maybe the final couple workouts. We might leave a little bit extra. Well, you would, or whoever's competing would. The other one wouldn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else you want to say, or any feedback or tips or just words of wisdom for people out there who are seeing all this content and they get lost in those weeds of, then they begin to start to question themselves?
Stop overcomplicating. Legitimately, just if you want to make your physique better, you want to optimize your training, train your ass off. Legitimately, don't bother counting the reps that you could have done. You know, warm up, take your workouts as a failure, and then adjust your volume up or down, understanding that intensity is driving your progress.
Yep.
That's it. And then feed yourself enough to make that intensity work.
Yep. Yep. I think it's a Christian Thibodeau quote, right? There is no such thing as overtraining, it's just under eating and under resting.
Yeah.
So, if that's you out there, and listen, I've seen some crazy protocols for people, and if that's you, you're an outlier. But for most people, do exactly what Dave just said. Like, if you just work your face off, leave no reps in reserve on your working sets, and let's say that's 2 per exercise, and then go home, eat, rest, recover, and follow that meal plan I just said earlier with 50 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat on a training day to start, and then build up from that, good shit's going to happen. I promise. You'll start, people are going to be like, man, what are you doing? What are you on? What peptide are you using? What SARM? Oh, I just listen to Chris and Dave. I train hard, I eat a lot of food, and I rest. Cool. Suddenly, all that testosterone you're pumping into your body actually gets to work. Fun fact.
Yeah.
So until next time, Chris, Dave, don't train like a bitch.